I'm always happy to be here on Sunday nights because Scorecard is finally live on your screens again. And it's that show where we take a trot around the various leagues around Europe and give you an update on everything that has been happening. Also, I want to tell you that it's less than 5 or at least 6 days to the NISA Games, the National Invitational Students Athletic Championship happening at the University of Ghana Stadium. I'll give you a little insight into that just shortly, so hang in there with us. But as far as the Premier League is concerned, really good weekend of football. Liverpool and Arsenal laid down the marker. Manchester City stumbled yet again against another big side. At this point, the only top 6 team Man City have beaten is Manchester United. We'll be finding out exactly what's going on with them and the inability to navigate these big teams this season. We'll check out the action in Spain as well. Real Madrid, after beating Girona, have stumbled this particular game week. And then we'll bring you some action from Italy and also the German Bundesliga. Let's do a quick turnaround. When we come back, I'll introduce my good friends and then we'll start talking. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. My name is Benjamin Nketiah, Edwin Kwakofi, and Coach Christopher Nimley are my guests. Gentlemen, looking sharp.
It's good to be
Charlie,
here.
you are looking hot.
Oh, Charlie. No, let me look at myself in the TV.
City
Please
star.
put the camera
The
on me.
man is looking hot.
Oh, Charlie.
Wow. Yeah, man. That's splendid.
Proper City style.
Proper
Love it. What's been going on with you guys this weekend? What have you been keeping an eye on?
Oh, of course. After that historical demonstration on Wednesday, where we are very much aware of the state of our football in this country, you know, I'm an integral part of that.
Yeah.
And then after the Wednesday, back to work, Sports Panorama, EPL, and then we are here.
Scorecard.
Yeah.
Good sporting sequence for you, Edwin.
Look, we are a few days away from the NISAC, which is where our focus is right now. And I look at some of the student athletes who are competing, and I wonder where I lost my way. Because I used to run 100 meters.
Oh, you are kidding me? For
JSS.
Tabasco?
No,
junior high school?
Yeah, junior high school. I used to run 100 meters. Then I lost my way, and now I have to regain it. I'm giving myself a target of 2 months. 2 months, I should be able to run 100 meters again.
That would be super.
So Edwin is telling you that he is trying to get back to his 100-meter form again. Well, what I can tell you is that from the 24th to the 28th, it's the NISA Games and it's track and field and athletics that's taking over. It's at the University of Ghana Stadium. You out there watching, you out there just getting in on the show right now can come up during the games, pop up with your friends, family, come cheer on these students out there. We've already been to a couple of schools. We visited St. John's, and this is what transpired. Check it out.
Hey, Isema. Oh, ole nane aswasimowa. Ole nane bane o. Ole nane aswasimowa. Ododokpo gashaga. Si. Ole nane aswasimowa. Ole nane bane o. Ole nane aswasimowa. Ododompo gashaga. Si. Oh, we are born to win. We are born to win. We are the golden house. We are the golden house. We are born to win. We are born to win. Oh, we are born to win. This is the golden house. We are. Minimi ebi na magbase shamia. Agbase shamia. Minimi ebi na magbase shamia. Agbase shamia. Obey small boy agbase. Obey small boy. Obey small boy. House 3, let the trophy go.
So St. John's Grammar there, showing you exactly what is going to transpire. They are currently in the middle of their own inter-house games out there. So they were in the mood when we arrived over there. So that's just a slice of what you'll be getting during the days. Like, I see coach is just watching silent like, yeah.
Yeah, man. Look, when you watch things like that, it tends to remind you of those good old days.
Good old days.
Yeah, those good old days at Accra Academy. Come on, man. You know, when such events are held, without Accra Academy, there's a huge void.
Yeah, Accra is big.
Without Accra, the event cannot proceed. And I can imagine. Look, if you are an old boy of Accra Academy, let's come to the Nisak game. It is the Legon Sports Stadium, newly built, newly fresh. We are going to open it up.
Fresh.
Those super Titan tracks, we are going to open it.
Yeah.
And for me, if the baby jet is watching, no more, come. And just come and add your presence to the occasion. And that will be super.
I'm sure the Accra students will want to see the jet. But like I said, if you are an old student of any of the high schools, pull up and come and give your support to your school. Pesek, St. Thomas Aquinas,
Achimota, ATTC. Those people, they can worry.
They'll all be in the mix. So come out there and support your schools. Let me also, like I put out on Sports Panorama, I want to know if there are some athletes from the schools you attended that you want to big up or give a shout out to. Some athletes that left you awestruck back in the day. Some athlete who was big in your days in high school. Just text him, text his name to us on the show. We'll acknowledge that person. But let's get into it and let's get right into the thick of things. Let's start off with the English Premier League because that's where all the action was. Let's start off from the G-Tech Community Stadium where Liverpool started off the game week hoping that they could open up the space on Manchester City and Arsenal, and that's exactly what they did. Big win for Liverpool in a game where they were forced to make 2 changes. So I think they had to do away with Curtis Jones in the first half. They brought in Ryan Graffenberg to replace him, and then they had to
talk online about whether Alisson's injury might mean the end of Liverpool's title charge this season, because Alisson is a key player to Liverpool's defense, key player to any title charge. But Keller has shown, not just in this game, but in the cup competitions, whenever he's stepped up, he's got a couple of league appearances under his belt that he can deputize very well for Alisson. So Liverpool have got a groove going. They've got the results coming. They've got the goals coming. I'm sure Klopp will be very disappointed that they conceded down 1-2 Tony, but overall the performance was very good from Jurgen Klopp's team.
Pressure on Man City. Coach, we saw that game together. Physical game from Brentford. Liverpool typically didn't play the type of game you expect them to, controlling possession, creating chances as well, but they had to make do of what they got. 2 headers resulted in 2 counter-attacks. You think that that's how Jurgen Klopp planned the game to be, or you felt like they were forced into reacting to how their opponents played them?
Brentford is a team that is well coached. And anytime you get a chance to play them, one thing that you should always have in mind, it is important that you score the first goal. Yeah. Now, if you look at the way they play, defensively, they are a very difficult team to break down. Although this season, they've not had that sustained defensive excellence in performances. But anytime they've showed up against the big boys, they more or less shape out in a way that ensure that they always have the defensive line cover. So Liverpool themselves knew that the best way to beat such a team is to occasionally lure them into coming to you and exploit the spaces in behind them. Because once there's Jota, there's Diaz, there's Darwin Núñez. These are proper guys with decent pace. Technically, they are good, and they are very explosive when they have to run in the space or run at defenders. So I have to admit that what Liverpool really needed to do is to match up to the physicality of Brentford. And you remember on Sports Panorama, I highlighted, yesterday during our game, I highlighted that. And I did say that if Van Dijk and Konate can actually help motivate the Liverpool players to be up to the physical challenge, then I expect Liverpool to go on to win. Edwin highlighted the importance of Endo. I also did say that once the Japanese international is in the game, he brings that sort of awareness, in positional awareness, in trying to protect the back four. And what amazes me about him is the fact that he tends to do the thing so simple. Yeah. In that role, you don't complicate issues. You win the ball off, you transit. You win and transit. And most of his passes, if you watch him, were not square or backwards. They were just giving the ball to McAllister, who always ensured that he was in front of Endo, and from McAllister to Darwin Núñez to Jota and then to Luis Diaz. So Liverpool, anytime they saw the gap, bam, they needed to attack it. And it was done with proper intent. And for me, look, if you want to win the league, if you've got a manager who has built this team and he's told everybody that after this season, I have to take some sabbatical. Some people are arguing whether that news came too early. You don't question somebody of the caliber of Jurgen Klopp. He knew, I'm sure it's something he's thought of. He clearly knew when to let go of the announcement. And he did that when his team was very tactical. Very strategic as well. Now, guys, I will be leaving you guys. We are on top of the league. Can we put up a proper title challenge? And you can see from the body language of every player in the team. Van Dijk, who is the leader, he wept when he got the news that their coach or Jurgen Klopp will be leaving. And you can clearly see that since that announcement, every Liverpool player has gotten in sync and they want to make sure they give this manager a befitting farewell. And for me, look, they are indeed Man City's proper title challengers. They will challenge City, City will challenge them. I know the Arsenal people may not be happy with what I'm saying, but let's call a spade a spade. Arsenal will,
especially after they've scored 11 goals in 2 matches.
They'll be in there, but because they don't have proper goal scorers.
They don't have a reputation of doing it as well.
Exactly, renowned goal scorers, and that is going to come back to bite them. But Liverpool, if you want to win the league, this is how you go to a very difficult away ground and announce your presence. So that was excellent.
Well, so Liverpool Football Club getting the business done against Brentford. Let's get to another team that got the business done. It was at Turf Moor, and it was Burnley hosting Arsenal Football Club. Like I mentioned, Arsenal have now scored 11 goals in their last 2 matches. The Gunners are flying. To all the naysayers and doubters of their title charge, they say this performance was for you. 5-0. Arsenal, they mean business. Coach, I've heard a couple of people say, especially Arsenal fans, say that Kai Havertz has turned the corner, as is the popular phrase in Ghana these days. Has he indeed turned the corner, or have you seen any positives about his game in the last couple of, say, 5 matches or so to indicate that things are getting better for the German?
Yes, I have seen that. Look, it has to do with he leaving Chelsea, coming to a team that has been built for some time. So he needed to understand the chemistry of not only the individual players, but the team as a whole. So at the beginning of his time at Arsenal, he needed time to study. Because most often than not, he was clashing with Odegaard.
Looked very lost in a lot of those games.
Very lost in a lot of those games. So now, through the help of the manager and, of course, the movement of the team, he now understands his role. When he's asked to play as a number 9, you don't see him dropping into midfield because that is Odegaard's position. That is where Odegaard will normally sit, receiving the ball and doing the damage. So he's been told, stay there. If there's going to be any movement from you, it has to be vertical, up front, forward, so that people will now run into the void that you would have created once you begin to move. But again, to this game, look, Burnley are that bad without taking anything away from Arsenal. Arsenal were super good.
Burnley are terrible.
But they are indeed, Burnley are very terrible. What I don't get about Vincent Kompany is the fact that you're playing against Arsenal. You're battling relegation. You don't go toe-to-toe with them.
Maybe
you don't
he knows he's not getting fired.
I'm most likely, I'm certain that is why he takes some of these very unpractical decisions. And as a technical man, when you sit back and you watch why he's doing that, it becomes very difficult to understand. What I don't get is to all these systems, there you have the defensive and the offensive version. So when you choose to go 4-4-2, one would have thought, why 4-4-2? Okay, so I was interested. Is it going to be the defensive version of the 4-4-2 or the attacking version? Shockingly, he went attacking. Look at how Arsenal scored the first goal. And most of the Arsenal goals were as a result of Burnley losing the ball in the half of Arsenal because they had gone on the attack. And then Arsenal just picking the space in between to pass the ball and getting them to defend. And again, this team is used to conceding goals. Again, Vincent Kompany. you want to put a stop to that. At this point, it is not about outscoring your opponent. Because, look, you are not going to score 4, 5, 6 goals in every week to win games. So I believe that going forward, you need to set up the team to make them very difficult to beat, especially at home. Your home games now need to count. But from what it's looking like, it is, I think, 13 point, 19 point. They are more or less close to 7 points away from safety. Do I see them and the teams ahead of them not winning? It will be very, very difficult.
Yeah.
But Arsenal was indeed very, very super. And again, credit to Mikel Arteta, credit to the boys. They've scored 11, in fact, you could say 13 goals in 3 goals. In 3 games.
14 actually.
They put 3 past Liverpool. So that's actually
amazing.
14 goals in what? In 3 games.
matches.
As a coach, you cannot ask for more. But the only difference here is that, as compared to last season, they are the one doing the chasing. They are not being chased. So that is taking off a lot of the pressure off them. But maybe, unfortunately for them, those they are chasing to are very experienced and they know how to handle the situation when they are being chased. So because of that, look, it will take a miracle for Arsenal to go past Man City and Liverpool to win the league.
Anyway, let me just give you a quick take on that before we take our first break. Just snap thoughts on that game.
Very snap thoughts. I think that Arteta understands that he's not shying away from the battle. He knows that he is in the title race, and he said so, even though Man City and Liverpool seem to be the better sides. But you have to credit the way he set up his team. It's not just offensively, even though they've scored 21 goals in 5 games. Defensively as well. Prior to this weekend, they'd only conceded 2 shots on target in their last 3 games, even against Liverpool. So it's they say the best form of defense is attack. And he set up his team to control the areas around the midfield and an attack to prevent teams from getting past that line and getting shots on target on goal. Even when they do get shots on the targets, Raya is proven to be a very tough obstacle. So credit goes to Arteta, but also the players, the way they've taken up their responsibilities and the way they are pressing, especially Odegaard, who again was fantastic in this game, not just in scoring the goals, in creating them, but also pressing from the front and showing leadership as the captain of the side.
They say he celebrates too much. Well, he's earned the right to celebrate a lot. And if you look at the defensive numbers as well, Arsenal own the best defense in the league as we speak. So it means that William Saliba indeed is a juggernaut for Arsenal. So they'll do everything to keep him healthy this season. He and that partnership with Gabriel have been immense. They've conceded, 22 goals all season? Immense for Arsenal Football Club. Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, I'll read some of your messages. Do keep them coming. Also, like I said, tell me about an athlete from your high school that you want to give a shout out to, or who is the greatest high school athlete from your alma mater. A lot to come on Scorecard. Stay with us here on Citi TV. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let me get to some of your messages that have been coming through before we kick on with more highlights. So this one here says, good evening, Scorecard crew. Seeing the video of St. John's Grammar has rejuvenated my spirit. Charlie, I was in St. John's Grammar from 92 to 94. Zola was our heat runner. That senior can run, I'm Kweku Abloman, inside Sapeman, and a neighbor to Kweku Bonsam. Charlie. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with this?
Was there the need to add that?
Charlie, he wants to tell you that he and Kweku Bonsam are good friends. Anyway, this one says, hi Ben, you are looking immaculately splendid in your Citi TV branded set. Oh, Charlie. Nah, Charlie, a guy. He says, please, I'm a loyal member of Scorecard. I will be extremely grateful to rep in one of your sets. NS from North Atomic. Hey, NS, you know how to put agenda under the newspaper. We'll see what we'll do about that. This one here says, I was glad to see Mr. Nimley at the demo on Wednesday. Please ask him why coaches are given medals alone without their backroom staff at the just ended AFCON. Coach Morrison from Adabraka. I think the backroom staff get medals
They
too.
are all entitled to
They all get medals.
They are entitled to medals.
This one here from says, Ben, please, where is Great Emitico? Where is Emmet Electronics Kaneshi? Because we had Aziz Zachary, Richard Ofori, and many more. Kinsalasi from Adenta Pantine. I think that's a tier before second cycle. Somebody's asking about is it Richard Ofori? See, the guy said they had Richard Ofori. I'm not sure if it's the Richard Ofori that we are aware of. Maybe it's the Black Stars. I don't know. Maybe it's the one. This one here, also, okay, I think I read this already. It says, shout outs to Dr. Ayu Santo, an all-time pole vault champion who held the record for many years at Presec, Greater Accra Zonals, Academicals, University of Ghana, and GUSA. Yours truly, Odadie Danbedu. So Odadie Danbedu says that he's giving a shout to Dr. Ayu Santo. Dr. Ayu Santo, wherever you are, take your flowers. It's interesting. So keep those messages coming. I'll read a couple more of them as the show goes along. Tell me who the greatest athlete from your high school or whatever institution you rep is. Let's get into more highlights. And this time around, let's get into that game involving Tottenham Hotspur and Wolverhampton Wanderers. And the 2-1. Tottenham were at home, but were beaten by Wolves. Shocking result. We'll try and break it down here. Let's check out the highlights. So a shocking result there for Ange Postecoglou and his Chargers. A game they were expected to win if they are to keep up with the rest of the top four pack. But shocking 2-1 defeat. Coach, take us through the technicalities of the goals that were conceded and the goals that were scored.
Look, to be honest with you, I'm just going to focus on the 2 goals or on all the 3 goals.
Okay.
Truth be told, Spurs showed the whole world how not to defend a corner kick. And I couldn't believe it. Let it roll first before I start doing my thing. So bang into the back of the net.
Yeah.
So now, when it goes
and it looks
back,
like they were all in their box.
so let me just pause it. Now, it's paused. If you look at, let me first of all try and delete this and then start all over again. Now, look at this. Look at this. This is what we call proper zona marking.
Okay.
If you look at in the 6-yard box, the number of Spurs players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the 10th outfield player. All of them are in the box. But 9 out of the possible 10 are in the 6-yard box. Okay, when you are there, like that, in numbers, what exactly are you supposed to do? I think that because tactically you've outnumbered them, you can at least afford to go what? 1v1. Because again, if you look at the number of, just a minute, I'm expecting this to go and then show me another color. It's not coming up, but we can all see. Yeah. If you look at the number of Wolverhampton's players there, it is 9v5. So Spurs can afford to go 1v1.
And there'll still be
excess of their players in the box to deal with the situation. What amazes me, this is the goal scorer, the one in the red. And look at the 2 Spurs players, Ismail Assar and I think Son Heung-min. Nobody is aware of Gomez, who is the one going to head the ball. And credit must be given to the corner kick taker. He clearly sees that if he puts the ball in the 6-yard box, Spurs will deal with it. So let me see whether I can bring it outside. In fact, these 2 guys here are also equally very dangerous for Wolverhampton. If the ball had been repelled,
they have a chance to rebound.
They have a chance to just come and blast it in. Now, when the corner kick was taken, look at the guy. Completely free. Nobody's there. Bang into the back of the net. You don't defend.
That's some shocking defending.
Shocking. It's elementary. So how on earth do you defend a corner kick like this? With all these guys in the box, still, if I'm the coach, look, I'm going to go ballistic. I'm going to skin people alive because you don't do that at this level. We had the numbers as to how he was left alone to head the ball this freely. Only the players out there can explain. Okay, now let's go to the second goal. The second Gomez goal. That is even more interesting. I'm going to play this. I'll play this. Now, in the third highlight, that is where I'm going to start my tactical analysis. So let it go. Everybody just watch. From a Spurs corner, the ball was played, headed out, and then Bissouma
somebody loses the
badly
ball,
controlled the ball, and Neto was on the move.
The counter-attack breaks.
Neto is on the move. So I'm not going to pause it. I'm going to allow it to go so that everybody will have a clear picture of what is going. I think there's a drone view of this that clearly explains it better. So let's see.
Second clip.
This is the second clip. Bad control again by Bissouma. And then pop. And then Neto. This is what he thrives on. Look at the space in behind. Understood. But this at this stage was just not even 70th minute. As to how they committed that number of players forward, only God knows. Now, this is the view I want to start my analysis with. Everybody watch this. This is the goal scorer. This is Neto in possession of the ball. When I roll this a little bit, look at it. We are going. Let me pause it here. At this stage, these are the number of Spurs players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only person whom I can excuse is this player here, this guy. He's the only player I can excuse. Because there's a Wolverhampton player coming from that extreme end that he needs to keep inside. But the players that completely shocked me was Bissouma. His lack of awareness. Because look at it. You had Son, you had Emerson, you had another Sarr. They were all going after Neto. And Emerson did a brilliant job defensively. So if I'm tactically analyzing, I'm going to always give kudos to Emerson. Let me roll this. What Emerson needed to do was to close the gap and allow the goalkeeper to have a better position. As it stands here, at this stage, let me just bring it back a bit, just a little bit, and then roll it. Go. Let's go.
Yeah, just play that again.
Let's go. Pause it. Let me pause it here. At this stage, Neto has got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
But to cut back.
Because he's left-footed as well.
He's left-footed and the ball is on
You
his
have
right.
to come inside.
He has to come inside. The goalkeeper is properly positioned.
Yeah.
If he strikes the ball with his right foot, even on
Near
target,
post is
the
covered.
goalkeeper makes a save. Now, you ask yourself, on the face of what we're all watching, what is Bissouma doing? You can excuse Sarr that he needs to get closer in case Neto does his things and go past Emerson. He now becomes what? The defensive line cover.
Yeah.
This is the Dutch boy. What is he doing?
Van der Ven.
Van der Ven. Clearly, you could clearly see that Neto is under control. Now, another player who could have aided their defensive organization clearly is the goalkeeper. Normally, you see the goalkeeper having a clear view, but he'll be pointing out to the infield players that, look, watch. So the goalkeeper, look, he has a view here. He could have told Bissouma,
Cover this guy.
cover this guy. He's the most dangerous player. Cover him. There was none of such. But Bissouma himself, having looked at what is happening there, this is virtually a 2v1 or even what? A 3v1. Bissouma, where are your eyes? You should be having a look. Because clearly, Neto is not going to be the one to put the ball in the back of the net. He cannot score from there. He will definitely want to check back. And look at how unforgivably Bissouma defended. By the time he realized, let me pause it. By the time he realized, once Neto had checked back
Onto his left foot.
Again, he was not going to strike at goal. But look at what happened. Bang, into the pass. And look at Gomez. Proper technique.
Yep.
All he needed to do was to put his laces through the ball and blast it in the back of the net. Again, from a Spurs' corner, they had as many as 3 different ways of dealing with the situation. They failed to deal with it, and eventually, this was the goal that eventually cost them the game. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
I fought their manager because look at the time here, 63, not even 70th minute. At that, it was 1-1. You've got a corner. How on earth do you commit that number of players forward in such a way that you are caught nagging?
Yeah.
If it is the 90th minute and you are trailing the game and it's a must-win game,
And you are
that
trailing
is
it,
where
that
you
makes
have
more
to-
sense.
That makes more sense. But not even 65th minute and you are doing that is unforgivable. Credit must be given to Neto from the way he actually dealt with the situation. When he saw the gap, he went and came back onto his left foot, just laid the ball to Gomez,
Yeah.
and Gomez was absolutely brilliant with his finish.
Wow, fantastic finish there. Anyway, let me take your thoughts on Postecoglou and Spurs and how they lost this game. You've always been skeptical about them and what they can achieve this season. Are they still on course for a top 4? I mean, where they lie in position, but clearly they are. But if you watch the football, the inconsistency, what's going on, what's your verdict on that?
Well, if they want a top 4 place, they certainly need to improve on this defending. Going into this game, everyone knew that Wolves were going to be a threat from set pieces.
Yep.
Prior to the weekend, they had scored 9 goals from set pieces,
right.
which was tied for 4th in the Premier League.
Exactly.
They had employed a few dark arts. So if you look at the first goal, Kilman's positioning in the box, he was supposed to be marked by Heung-min Son.
Yeah.
But as coach described, it was a zonal marking. So he dragged Son on the blind side of the referee. I don't know how the referee didn't see.
Yeah.
He dragged Son into the 6-yard box. And Son, thinking he was still supposed to be marking Kilman, because there was a player who now had the responsibility of marking Kilman. Son, thinking he was still supposed to be marking Kilman, just left Joao Gomez to get onto that header. That is poor marking. That is, you prepare for games by analyzing the team you are facing. If Postecoglou and his team had properly analyzed what Wolves were doing, they would have seen where the danger areas were. Also, counter-attacks. Wolves, before this game, had scored 3 goals from counter-attack situations. That was tied again for 5th in the league, one of the highest rates in the Premier League. So pushing too many players forward for set pieces in the 60th minute or 63rd minute.
That's just naivety. And it looks like you didn't look at the scouting report.
Naivety, and that's not understanding your opponent's pretty well. And Wolves had several counter-attacking opportunities, not just the ones they scored from. A couple more, even in the first half, especially in the second half, that Spurs could have dealt with much better. So going forward, Postecoglou needs to understand that there are certain things that you prepare for, certain opponents that you prepare specific strategies for. We saw this thing in the first game against Wolves, which again they lost after having taken the lead very late on because they failed to be pragmatic in the latter stages of the game. We've seen it again from Postecoglou. If they want a top 4 spot, they need to match other teams in terms of preparation, other teams in terms of being pragmatic when the situation demands it. And this game clearly proves why Postecoglou needs to step up, because right now he's not doing
Postecoglou is just stubborn. I think he knows what to do. He's a very smart manager from all indicators. He just wants to die by his philosophy, and maybe he just might, from the way things are going, especially if they end up missing out on the top 4 place. But let's get to another big, in fact, the game of the round. It was at the Etihad, and it was between Manchester City and Chelsea. In fact, the first leg of this game is my game of the season so far. It ended 4-4. Absolute blockbuster. The return leg did not produce as many goals, but it was equally interesting. Let's check out the highlights. Guess who was there to rescue a point for Manchester City? It's like when they lose a big game player, another player grows to step into that place. So first they had Vincent Kompany to be doing these things, and then Ilkay Gundogan stepped up when Vincent Kompany retired and became a coach. Now he is also gone, and it looks like Rodri is the new man to take that place. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll give you highlights again, and then we'll get to the tactical board. We'll try and see if we can decipher this particular game, the goals that were scored, the chances that were wasted, and try and make some sense out of it. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. We'll be getting the highlights of that Chelsea game again. Let's roll the highlights of that particular game once again. Chelsea versus Manchester City. Let's check out the highlights. Let me take you to the tactical board and let's try to make some sense of the goals that were scored, the errors that were made, and what could have been. Coach Christopher Nimley is ready with the tactical board. Coach, what are we getting to first?
Again, I'm going to allow this to roll. There was a repeated sequence over and over again and again in the game. We did a game on radio. So Man City and their high line is something they will never stop. But what they are so good at is that when they lose the ball high up the pitch, they are very good at winning the ball and making sure the transition doesn't go on. But on this occasion and so many other occasions in this game, Chelsea were able to bypass the press with just doing one-touch football. And for me, let it roll a bit, and I'll come back and I'll highlight how this goal was scored. So let me just pull it back a bit for the sake of time. So don't waste. So, no, come back a bit. Okay, this is the event. So from here, pause it here. If you look at this, once Man City did not win the ball off Chelsea at this point, look at the number of players they've got in and around Jackson. They clearly knew that they were going to be found wanted. This is where they needed to stop the transition. They didn't do so because even if you look at Jackson, this is Jackson. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 proper coaching from Pep Guardiola. They clearly understand that once they lose the ball defensively, they are completely out of shape. So they needed to stop it. Jackson too did a wonderful thing here. If he had dwelled on the ball here, they would have overcrowded him and taken the ball. But look at what he did. He also just go what? He went one time with the back heel and then
that's fantastic.
Gusto.
Fantastic link up.
Gusto saw the gap. So when the pass got and Gusto saw that, look at the huge gap.
The space here.
Look at the space. Look at this whole space there. It's too big a gap to give away at this level. It's too huge a gap. And Jackson have seen, but everybody watch. I'm going to show you something very important here. Let me just get rid of that. I'm going to show you something very important here. Look at the starting movement of Kyle Walker. Boom. Look at him. He started running towards Jackson. And then quickly he remembered that no, that movement was wrong. The movement rather should have been towards Raheem Sterling. Because if he had gone this way...
Can you see Rodri pointing at Sterling, telling him...
That is the awareness. Yeah. Rodri is clearly aware.
You're right. He's telling him that
take care of the guy. That is the wrong movement. The movement should rather go towards Raheem Sterling. Now we all know Kyle Walker. He's by far the quickest.
He might be the quickest player on this pitch.
Exactly. So he trusts his speed. Can I get to Raheem Sterling?
Quickly tries to recover.
Can I get to Raheem Sterling? Yes, he got to Raheem Sterling. He indeed got to Raheem Sterling. But everybody watch. When the ball was given to Raheem Sterling, let me pause it here.
Yeah.
Look at the position of Ederson. Ederson, very much aware of the situation. His presence here has told Raheem Sterling two things. If I don't get my touch right, Ederson will come out. Like we saw him do when it was in the case of what? Nicholas Jackson. So he got the first touch. Even Raheem Sterling, first touch, took the ball away
from him, yeah.
And the further the ball went away, the advantage, the goalkeeper. Raheem Sterling to not being left-footed.
Because now you have a closer angle.
Exactly, not being left-footed. He cannot go with his left foot. Ederson will make the save. This is where Kyle Walker, after doing so well in getting there, in reaching there, had the situation under control, he should have just forced Raheem Sterling further left. Further left means advantage Kyle Walker, advantage Ederson, disadvantage Raheem Sterling. He didn't do that. Why did he allow Raheem Sterling to check back onto his favorite foot? He checked him back and then look. By the time Ederson realized, Ederson thought, he knew what Kyle Walker had to do. Kyle Walker had to push Raheem Sterling further left.
Yeah.
So the moment he failed to do that, he was also now very late in coming out. The credits must be given to Raheem Sterling. You don't go to your old or to the club that has given you your only Premier League title. How many of them? 5 of them?
5.
And then you show such audacity in executing the goal. Beautiful goal.
Yep.
There you go again. You see, the first touch took it away from him, but he controlled, and that was brilliant. Now, let's go to the second goal or the Man City
equalizer.
The Man City equalizer. Look, at this point, Mauricio Pochettino had done so many tactical switches. Some of them we did the game already. I pointed out that it was too early. The Raheem Sterling change, in my view, was too early. The Cole Palmer change, in my view, was too, because that was what got Man City worried. It was clear that before they equalized, Chelsea should have at least taken the lead. Don't forget, in a similar sequence, Ederson virtually had to save the ball on the line from Raheem Sterling. Once those attacking changes were made, Man City got a clear message that we are going to.
These people want to hold on to this.
They want to hold on. So keep coming. And you see that, unfortunately, the player who was brought in place of Raheem Sterling was not aware of the situation in and around him and allowed Rodri to have a sweet blast of the ball into the back of the net. So you roll. This is actually Rodri. He's now in possession of the ball. He gives it away, and then look at the movement. Let me pause it here. And at this stage, Rodri is not actually in picture.
He actually is.
This is not him.
That's De Bruyne.
That's De Bruyne. Rodri is not actually in picture.
Yeah.
So when you roll it out, everybody watch the movement of Nkuku. The ball goes wide. Pause it here. Where is Nkuku going? He should remain there, because this Chelsea player here, clearly Callagher, was clearly going to close down. You realize that the space that Nkuku vacated
is where Rodri had the chance to play the ball through.
There you go. Now he moved, and that was when he banged into the back of the net. So if he had told himself the ball was going wide. Gallagher was getting closer. This is a better view. This is even a better view. This is Rodri. So watch. If you move this a bit, this is Nkoku. Nkoku, where are you going?
I'm sure Rodri is asking himself that, why is the guy leaving me alone?
Where are you going? Because look, in terms of the defensive line cover, Chelsea had bodies in the box that they could have dealt with it. But if Nkoku, because the moment he moved, watch, the moment he moved, what was he doing closer to Gallagher there? Very unaware, not being smart, not being intelligent, not reading the situation better to be able to counter. And Rodri to look, because the ball was coming to his left, if you look at the slow-mo, he actually hesitated, took him a deep breath, and decided, let me just put my laces through it.
Yeah.
And that was exactly...
I mean, there are boxes in the box. Yeah, there are bodies in the box. It hits anybody.
It's back into the back of the net. Again, he vacated the position, bang. So look, the Chelsea supporters were very disappointed.
Rightly so.
Before the game, apart from Edwin. I don't know of any Chelsea supporter who felt they could get a result there. But Edwin, let me state that he was very confident that Chelsea would not lose the game.
I thought they could get a result because I felt like Manchester City had been dropping the ball in a lot of their big games. Some way, somehow, they are finding it difficult to win big matches this season.
Exactly. And that is very worrying. And because of that, it is looking like the one who win the league will win it with the fewer points than we've experienced in recent times. So good game. For the neutrals, somebody like me, I really did enjoy that.
Let me take Edwin, so you can take your seat. Let me take Edwin's thoughts on this one. Edwin, what did you like about Chelsea's game and what didn't you like? And also just touch on that Man City inability to navigate big teams this season.
Well, I think that especially this season, when teams have enough time to prepare for the threat of Man City, they can cause them a lot of problems. And that's where you look at the big games. Teams who have time to prepare for Man City and also the quality to deal with Man City's quality.
And teams who have genuine pace up front. Those with the
to deal with Man City's high line. And we've seen that a lot of times this season. And Chelsea came in with the perfect strategy. I need to say that Pochettino coached a wonderful game right from the start of the game. Up until a certain point. He coached a wonderful game. Chelsea played the perfect away game. Probably should have got away from this game with more than the 1 points that they did. A couple of players who stood out. Obviously, there's the obvious names like Disasi, Malo Gusto.
Disasi had a stormer.
Who had really good games. Two players who really stood out for me. First one, Cole Palmer. And not just in an offensive sense. This is where wingers need to learn what they need to do. Not just staying up front, not just contributing to the goals that your team scores. In defensive situations, you need to be on top. You need to help out your fullback. And I thought Cole Palmer did that fantastic. He made Malo Gusto's work even easier in dealing with Jeremy Doku. A lot of the times, it wasn't Doku that it wasn't Gusto that Doku was facing up to in that position. It was constantly Cole Palmer.
True.
That is where wingers need to help out their fullbacks because Doku is a dangerous player. Even one-on-one, he has the beating of a lot of players in the league. But Gusto had a good game besides that. Second one, and I know some people will be surprised at this, Nicholas Jackson. Look, forget the chances he missed. And obviously, as a striker, you can't afford to miss those chances. But his hold-up play, the fact his movements on the field, his link-up play with Sterling and with Cole Palmer, brilliant throughout the game. When he was taking off the pitch, Chelsea immediately lost an outlet up front who could hold up the play and occupy the Man City defenders. And I think his removal was one of the reasons why. So many errors. And final point that I want to make, Pochettino's substitutions. Look, I get the reasoning behind the substitutions. First one, Nkunku coming in, taking off Sterling. Nkunku is a player who normally can deal with the ball in tight spaces, can deal with a lot of pressure.
He's supposed to be able to do the Sterling job.
Yes, he's supposed to be
equally
able to do it at a better rate because he is better with those one-touch passes. He's able to find teammates. He's able to beat players as well. So him coming in, I completely understand. And I get it. It was too early at that stage. Sterling was having a good game.
Really good game,
So taking him off at that early stage was not necessary.
In my view, more or less pointed out to be a template substitution. It's something
they are thought of.
They are thought of. But once Sterling was having a good time out there,
you
allow him to go.
Look, So that didn't work out because Nkunku didn't have the best of games. Second substitution, I think Trevor Chalobah adding to the defense, making it a very strong back line, three back to solidify Chelsea's defense. You get that substitution, it made Chelsea stronger at the back. Third substitution, Cesare Cassidy, bringing him on to do a job. And he brought him on because he wanted an outlet up front. He didn't have anyone else. So with the height, with the strength of Cassidy, you'd expect him to win aerial balls. And he did a couple of that. Even in defensive situations, because Man City were resorting to crossing a lot of the balls to Erling Haaland. Having an extra tall player would have helped. But the fact is, a lot of work was being done by Cole Palmer, which couldn't have been done by Cesare Cassidy. And eventually Man City got the goal. But I thought that Chelsea played a fantastic game. Now it's up to the players, not just the manager, to keep up this consistency, this form. I saw a side of Caicedo that I haven't seen much of this season. Man. He was fantastic. Even after the yellow card, he went into tackles like he was...
I was actually scared for him.
I was scared for him. But as a top midfielder, you know that 90% of the time you are going to win these tackles. So you are not afraid to get stuck in. And that is a side of him I want to see even against Luton Town, Sheffield United, Brentford. We don't see that often enough. Enzo was fantastic, running his socks off, progressing Chelsea up the field. Sterling, Cole Palmer, we just need to see that side of them consistently, and they can fight their way up the table. But a brilliant performance from Chelsea in this game.
Brilliant performance from Chelsea, and word to that midfield three, Gallagher, Caicedo, and Enzo Fernandez. Yesterday's performance, or that performance on Saturday, is the benchmark for that midfield. You can't drop below those standards. Let's get to another game to close out the Premier League highlights. It was Luton Town hosting Manchester United. It was a difficult game for United, but they managed to navigate it. Let's check out the highlights. What was Garnacho up to in that particular clip? Let me start off with you, Coach. Manchester United really labored in this game to get a result. It was against Luton Town. You'd have expected that in their newfound form, this would have been a pretty straightforward win.
Yes, especially if you look at the start they had. They started the game very fast. They were gifted a goal. And then out of nothing, Rasmus Haaland just the ball into the back of the net. And within the first 10 to 15 minutes, they were already 2 goals up. One would have thought that it was a proper way of building to a very comfortable afternoon. But it turned out not to be so. But you must give credit to Luton Town themselves, because we've seen Liverpool go there and draw. We've seen Man City go there, struggle. We've seen Spain.
They've actually been a thorn in the flesh of the big teams.
Yes. So on that scale,
there's something they are doing right.
Man United did what was important. Make sure you get the 3 maximum points at the end of the day. Although Luton in that second half were the dominant force, United created all the proper chances that were there to be taken. There was one that Bruno had to score, he couldn't score. Garnacho 1v1, Rasmus Haaland 1v1, Rashford. So on countless occasions, Man United needed to put the game to bear. But you see, when you are chasing top 4 and you have a team battling relegation, this is the sort of game you get. We are all, it means a lot.
The stakes are high for both of us.
So you wouldn't get it one way throughout. By all means, the other person will have to show a response. And for me, it was a beautiful game to watch, though. But Luton themselves have shown that. I think if they can win a bit more of their home games,
they can survive. I didn't think that Luton Town would find their feet before Burnley. Shocking for me.
I think they are better than Crystal Palace.
They definitely are. From the contest they've been giving the bigger teams. Just quick thoughts on that game, your takeaways before we move on.
Well, I thought Luton were brilliant, and we're very unfortunate not to get a couple more goals in that game. United seemed there for the taking, especially in that second half where Luton dominated the midfield, and it was strange to see the midfield of United being so outplayed by Luton. Ross Barkley had a fantastic game. The way he moved the ball, the way he turned on the ball, the way he distributed it was very fantastic. But if I were Erik ten Hag, I'd be worried that in that midfield, United didn't show any fight. There were several moments where players from Luton were just walking through the midfield unchallenged. There were moments where Rashford and Garnacho had players that they were supposed to be marking, and they let them go. And that should be very worrying to Eric Ten Hag to see that even in the midst of this winning streak, you still have players who are not showing enough fight, enough passion.
Yep.
So when it comes to games where they do need to show passion, they do need to show some recovery, you're not going to get it from them. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. For Højlund, it's great to see him scoring goals. He had that ability in him. He just needed to get the finishing touch, and he seems to have found it now. 5 goals in 5 straight games. Well,
seven in 6.
7 in 6 straight games.
Yeah.
Fantastic for a striker. Onana is having a really good last few games. Maybe you might talk about that.
Don't jinx it for him.
No, he'll come good. Look, he's that experienced. Ajax,
Inter Milan.
When you come to the EPL, take it or leave it. We've seen all the very good goalkeepers.
Alisson, De Gea.
Peter Cech, who came in and was a revelation.
Most people needed a settling
will
down
struggle
period.
before they settle down.
Onana, coach says he will settle down. We'll take his word for it. Let's go to other leagues and do back-to-back highlights now. Let's start off with the Spanish La Liga and do Real Madrid versus Rayo Vallecano, and then we'll do Barcelona versus Celta Vigo. Let's check out the highlights. So even tactical brilliance has a limit. Ancelotti, with a plethora of injuries this season, being forced to play players out of position. Eventually, it caught up with Real Madrid. They drew 1-1. I was looking to see Abdul Mumin in there. Looks like he didn't feature in this game, but
No, he didn't.
yeah, in the end, they held Real to a draw.
Yeah, I think so far they are the only team to have taken 2 points off Real Madrid. In the first round, they held Real to a draw at the Bernabeu, and again
They've gotten another draw.
again. But look, Real Madrid, without a doubt, I believe will win the league. I just hope that the injury situation will not get worse than it is. If you can get back most of the players, Rudiger and Cole, Alaba, and here he's out of the season. Yeah, and then Bellingham, of course, he's a miss. You clearly see Real Madrid without a 20-year-old already. A player bought this season, but he's been a revelation. He's been an absolute revelation. If you look at his numbers, his all-round contribution, when he's not in that team, there's nobody arriving very
20
late.
in 29 league matches.
There you go. For a midfielder, that is sumptuous. That is absolutely out of this world. Yeah. And if you look at his age, he's playing like a mature player who has been around for so long a time. So that should be a disappointing draw for Carlo Ancelotti. For Barcelona, look, it's all about getting Champions League football next season. They are not going to win. I think they are too far off the pace. Real Madrid and then Girona are the pace setters, and the league will be won by either Real or Girona. For Barcelona, it's our Champions League football. So wins like this is what they will create.
Well, Bellingham has 16 goals, actually 16 goals and 3 assists in the league. So in all competitions, he's got 20, I believe. Let's get to the German Bundesliga, where I think Thomas Tuchel's job is under threat. So I looked at the fixtures this week and said, Bochum, okay, that's a win for Bayern. Take it off. I was wrong. That didn't happen. 3-2, Bayern lost this game. And at this point, I'm not sure what the future holds for coach's good friend Toto Aluti. Let's check out the highlights on this game. I'll take thoughts from both Edwin and Coach on the Bayern situation. Edwin, I'm sure you've been studying the Thomas Tuchel situation for a bit. What's going on with him?
Look, his days are numbered, and he can't absolve himself of blame. Decisions he's been making on pitch with his selections, how he approaches games, and his in-game management has been the worst I've seen from him throughout his career. And I've followed his career since his time at Mainz or Borussia Dortmund. And he's making some pretty silly errors that you wouldn't expect from a top-class manager like him. Leaving players like Kimmich out for a huge game against Bayer Leverkusen. You don't expect that from a manager. Playing a lot of forward-thinking players, not thinking about the protection in front of your defense is almost suicide. No matter which team you are coach of, even if you have players like the caliber Bayern do, I think it's suicide not to provide protection for your back four. And I think confidence is short in terms of the playing body. They realize that having come into a team like Bayern, you expect to be dominating the league. When you are losing ground to Bayer Leverkusen, it hits you at a different level.
It demoralizes you because they've not lost a game all season.
They haven't. You look at them at the top of the league and you wonder, how are we going to chase them? We are losing to teams that ordinarily we won't. And they are finding ways to win games that you think they are going to lose. So it creates a situation and atmosphere around the club where players don't trust the manager. The manager is having his own frustrations with the playing body. And I listened to Mola talk about it. He says the players have to accept responsibility. But it's not the players who are going to suffer the blame for this. The eyes are going to be on the manager. And I think that if he doesn't get sacked after this game in particular, it's going to happen if they go out of the Champions League to Lazio. And it's looking quite likely. They lost the first leg 1-0. Chances are they might not be able to have enough to win that second leg. So I think his days are numbered at Bayern Munich.
Coach, final word on your good friend.
Maybe they are the reason why Jurgen Klopp says he needs a sabbatical.
He's prepping to go and take the Bayern job.
Every German manager, every German player, their dream team to coach
is Bayern
Munich. So maybe that is the reason why. But look, my good friend Toto Alote is struggling. Truth be told, is struggling because look, player for player, by far Bayern Munich have the best team in the league. So what is happening is unacceptable. You cannot defend him. He needs to find a way of bringing them back on track immediately. Or else he gets the boot.
And buying players like Eric Dyer and keeping Kimmich on the bench.
No, who are those sanctioning that? Lothar Matthäus, legends of the club say no. Bayern don't do that. Bayern don't do that. This is not the type of Bayern I have played for, I support. No. So look, the results will have to change. If it doesn't change, Toto Alote will get sacked.
Let me read some messages that have been coming through. This one here. Okay, this one says, back in Cape Coast 2010 to 2013 in Fransprim School, we had a boy called Michael Prepra. He could beat everybody running with his back. Charlie, interesting. Bismarck from Spintex says, as United win there, this week will be cool for us small. I went to Oda School, and during my time, we had Kobe Runner, 4B4. Guy can run. That's your Citi branded shirt though. Yeah, Charlie, the shirt. Get fans today. This one says Kumasi High School 2004 had Kweku Nsia. He could also give us qualifying points, long jump, triple jump, and his discipline, the hurdles. Athletics is Kumasi, no doubt. KB Asante from Kumasi, so that one. Nana Isiama from Sefi Isam says, good evening, guys. Greetings to Coach and Edwin, an ardent viewer of your show. I really don't want to miss this program on Sunday. I really don't miss this program on Sunday. Thank you very much. Edward Ansah from Winneba says, greetings to you guys all. Arsenal will win the league. Yao Boateng from Nungwa says that Dr. Bokete Elias Toyota is currently the CEO of Charger Group of Companies, dealers of Happy Bitters. He holds the 400 meters record in Greater Accra from Nungwa Secondary School. Okay, so that's the one there. This one says, I was in Impriso from 2010 to 2013. We had a student called Black Fanta, best in 100 meters and long jump. Charles from Mamprobi with that one. This one says, good evening. Coach Chris always makes my Sunday night superb. Citi will win the trophy. Sami Duya says, hi, Ben. My team Chelsea played very well. We just missed good chances. We deserve to have won the game. Shout out to my wife, Mrs. Deborah Duya. I'm sure she'll hear you. Kwame Ayat from Inside Sapeman and says, I believe Arsenal will win the league this season to end our 20-year drought beautifully. Thank you very much all for doing the listening or doing the viewing, sorry. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Edwin. Same time next week, Scorecard will be back on your screens.